Hello and welcome to the second generation of my Fire Emblem 4 0% gross low turn count playthrough. Unfortunately, the more fun generation is over, but oh well, there's still some interesting stuff here. So, we recently got a look at our absolutely terrible main character, and the fact how, at base, the crappy axe users in the first easy chapter of the generation are already beating him in HP, strength, defense, and speed, which, you know, isn't the greatest sign. But thankfully in this game, mounts and items are so ridiculous that Celis will still be our primary boss killer. I think he's going to kill every boss in every throne guard in the game from Chapter 8 onward. Maybe not Alvis, but he might even get the kill on him too. Like, seriously. He's just that amazing. So, even though he has worse stats than these units, embarrassingly, the rings help him have about even stats. Look, almost gets one-shotted. Lol. But anyways, it helps him out that axes are terrible weapons in this game. It also helps him out that he has 3 leadership stars and as such gets a plus 20 boost to evade, meaning that these enemies don't have the highest hit. Like, his chance of death in most enemy phases is very low. Unfortunately, this is the one chapter of this generation that does not have an arena, meaning that I cannot RNG abuse, which can actually make this chapter hell, I'm going to be honest. This time it was alright, but sometimes during a test run, I'd get to this chapter and realize that the RN chain, no matter how much I messed around with the ordering of attacks and level ups and all those RN burns, it was just simply impossible to clear it in the chapter in an expedient manner. So, thankfully the RNs worked out this time. If it hadn't, I would have had to burn a few hundred RNs in the first generation before starting this generation, which is annoying because it's like pure guess and check. I have no way of knowing how well it's going to turn out, but I didn't have to do it, so it wasn't too bad. And, sorry, quick, accidentally paused the video for a second. There's not a huge amount to say, it's mostly a lot of precise positioning to make sure that I have enemies waiting around for Celis to kill so that Celis doesn't get killed and dodges the majority of the attacks coming his way, because he's killed very easily. Two-shotted by everything on the map. It doesn't say good things about him when actually the axe armors guarding Ganenshire near the boss, they can already one-hit kill them. And this is the first chapter of the generation. So, I mean, though we will be able to nuke bosses with hero sword criticals, he's never going to be able to take much punishment. There's nothing I can really do about that. And, you know, the children characters in this generation are just, frankly, really bad. Because both parent stats and growth rates factor into the children's base stats, so there isn't much going for them. Like, on an earlier playthrough I had, before I realized that I didn't really need whole SETI, I used Levin SETI, and he came with 25 HP. Like, even with the 2 of the highest base stat parents in the game, respectively Fury and Levin, so you aren't going to see children characters doing much. Well, you are going to see them doing a lot, but not off the base of their stats. Celis is going to do a lot off the back of his ridiculous inventory, and Leaf is going to do a lot because he's a 9-move unit with access to the rescue staff. But don't expect them to do much. I mean, yeah, children characters aren't good on 0% growth. Like, I didn't pair Ira up, but I'm pretty convinced that having Rottlebad and Badney is better than having the children. Like, they would have Astra, but then again, they'd probably be in the same boat of as soon as the second chapter begins getting one-shotted, or two-shotted. And actually, you wouldn't expect Rottlebad and Badney to do a lot, but they have a contribution next chapter that requires them to tank a bit. That's too glorious. Neat shield. I'm currently doing all these conversations not because I think the point of luck actually matters, but because why not? I mean, the extra 1% to their evade rates will probably do a whole lot for the reliability of strats of a strat next chapter where Lana has to take some hits, but yeah, that 1 luck will greatly increase reliability, trust me. And yeah, I had Celis equip the Earth Sword because with the Orange Chain there was no real way to avoid him getting hit, and he was at a place where he'd get 1 hit killed, so that's why I got him the Earth Sword, so that he can survive. Normal playthrough would be better to just give him delivering, or even like a ranked playthrough where you don't have to care that much about turns, but I didn't fight those Wyvern Knights, so. And yeah. So it may seem very risky, like I'm about to have my castle taken, but I'm just in time to avoid having that happen. Not sure what happened here. Just misread my notes or something, but sometimes there are little delays like that. In some other low turn count playthroughs, people try and rehearse their notes well to make it so that they finish it in the lowest time possible, even though that's obviously secondary to the actual turn count, but I don't have the most time to do these recordings, and I don't find playing for speed like that especially enjoyable, so as long as it's not super choppy and I follow my notes mostly correctly, I'll let it be, even if there are a few stutters here and there. So onto the boss kill. I could probably save some turns on this castle if I got Celis well, I probably could have fed a bunch of kills onto Sigurd's steel sword, like the one that he comes with, because it got to about 25 kills in the first 2 chapters, and with effort I probably could have gotten it past 50, and maybe if I had done that with setting up some good crits and giving Celis a Night Ring, he could have seized on this turn. But then I wouldn't have enough kills on the Hero Sword, which would lose me a bunch of kills. It would be super unreliable, it would take guess and check RNG abuse, and Celis would also have trouble killing all the opponents he's fighting, which would reduce his experience. And honestly, getting Celis promoted in this chapter is a greater priority than getting a low turn count. Like, honestly. Because, for instance, the next chapter, Crossing the Desert, where Celis needs to run all over the place from castle to castle and have an odyssey across the desert, it's really not good if he's not promoted. It would cost, I don't know how many turns it would cost, probably upwards of 5 or 6, so I'm going to be glad that I'm getting him promoted next chapter. You'd think it would do a lot for his stats, but it really doesn't. All his important stats are still under 10 without the boost of a ring, I believe, so yeah. But his strength is just high enough to one round a bunch of bosses with 2 Hero Sword crits. So yeah, that's mostly it. Oife uses the cutter to 1 round him. Oh, I forgot to talk about Oife. Needless to say, his high base stats make him a great unit. I'll explain his specific contributions later. But there isn't much else to say. This is Ganenshire Castle completed in 9 turns. Thank you, and I will see you guys next time.